3 weeks. Just 3 weeks remain until Donald Trump sets foot on Chinese soil in Beijing. By conventional logic, this should be the moment Xi Jinping has long anticipated, the leaders of the world's two largest powers sitting down for direct talks. It would allow the Chinese Communist Party to project an image of great power composure on the global stage, with cameras from around the world trained on Beijing, a major face-saving opportunity. Yet right now, what is Beijing actually doing? Complaining. On March 10th, Bloomberg reported that Chinese officials are deeply dissatisfied with the United States' preparations for the summit, viewing Trump's side as insufficiently prepared. When I heard that, I couldn't help but laugh. Insufficiently prepared? Just before heading to Beijing, what had Trump just accomplished? He captured Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro and oversaw the strike that killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. You're telling me that counts as insufficient preparation? In today's analysis, let's walk through the entire chessboard leading up to this Trump-Xi meeting, step by step, with full clarity. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. I'm Tang Jingyuan. If you're following this topic, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. First, let's address something many people overlook. Donald Trump has a consistent pattern in how he approaches negotiations. Before he ever sits down at the table, he makes sure the other side clearly understands exactly how heavy the cards in his hand really are. On February 23rd, US forces carried out an operation codenamed Epic Wrath, resulting in the death of Khamenei. Just weeks earlier, Trump had overseen the capture of Venezuelan strongman Nicolas Maduro. Many ask, what do these two events have to do with the upcoming Trump-Xi summit? Everything. Consider who these men were. Khamenei was one of the Chinese Communist Party's most important fellow travelers in the Middle East. Maduro was effectively Beijing's proxy in Latin America. In a single stroke, Trump neutralized two of the CCP's key regional allies. Then, carrying that momentum, he heads straight for Beijing's front door. This isn't a lack of preparation. This is a strategic warm-up. What's particularly telling is how Maduro was taken down. Later reports in the CCP-affiliated outlet Global People revealed that the person who betrayed Maduro was someone he trusted most, his longtime personal security chief, Major General Tarek El-Aissami, referred to in some accounts as the Night Watchman. This was a man who grew up with Maduro in the working-class neighborhoods of Caracas, one of his closest confidants, who ultimately became the one who opened the door. After news of Maduro's capture broke, mainland Chinese netizens did something quite revealing. They went to major mapping apps and searched for two words, Zhongnanhai, the CCP leadership compound. The results? Some apps returned, sorry, no such location found in Beijing. Others redirected users elsewhere. The implication was obvious to everyone. A similar dynamic played out with Khamenei. Reports indicate that the strike that killed him relied on high-level intelligence from inside Iran. The commander of the IRGC's Quds Force, Esmail Khani, reportedly left a key meeting early for official business beforehand. Rumors afterwards suggested he had fled. In both cases, Maduro and Khamenei, the knife that ended them, came from their innermost circle. Now Trump is on his way to Beijing. Do you think Xi Jinping is sleeping well? Let's turn to the summit itself. What does the CCP most want to discuss? One Chinese expert put it bluntly. From Beijing's perspective, the top item on our agenda is Taiwan. Not trade, not investment, not technology. It's Taiwan. That's an honest assessment. Taiwan remains the thorn in Xi Jinping's side that he simply cannot remove. Why is Xi so fixated on Taiwan? Veteran commentator Lin Baohua explained it incisively. After China entered the WTO, its ambitions grew unchecked. It wanted everything. In recent years, TSMC emerged as Taiwan's guardian mountain, producing the world's most advanced semiconductors. What did Xi do? Without blushing, he simply reclassified TSMC as a Chinese company. Swallow Taiwan, TSMC becomes his. All of Taiwan becomes his property. The problem? The United States stands directly in the way. America is the biggest obstacle to Xi's annexation of Taiwan, and now he must sit face to face with the owner of that obstacle. As Lin Baohua noted, the moment Trump brings up Taiwan, Xi's breathing will inevitably grow heavy. Why? Because it's a dead-end trap. Trump has no incentive to raise Taiwan proactively. It's not his primary objective. But if Xi himself brings it up, he instantly invites controversy and appears reactive and defensive. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. In Trump's hands, Xi has no real leverage to extract concessions. That heavy breathing is simply the natural physiological response of someone suppressing intense inner tension. At this very juncture, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi still felt compelled to make grand statements, calling Taiwan the core of China's interests and declaring 2026 a potential milestone year for U.S.-China relations. What kind of milestone? Lin Baohua cut straight to it. Xi doesn't even have the power to sit down for dinner with Taiwan's president, Lai Ching-te. Yet he claims to hold the dominant position. The Taiwan Affairs Office repeatedly insists the CCP firmly holds the initiative on Taiwan. Dominance, Lin Baohua calls it self-delusion. In reality, the US Congress has already begun hearings on the security of Taiwan's undersea cables, even inviting former KMT legislator Xu Yuzhen to testify. Xinhua issued a banned word list prohibiting terms like mainland Hong Kong, labeling them guided propaganda. Yet even inside China, enforcement is inconsistent, and internationally, no one pays attention. Is that dominance? Of course, some media outlets try to bolster Xi's position by pointing to a supposed trump card, North Korea. The argument goes like this. Trump wants to use the Beijing visit to restart dialogue with Kim Jong-un. Trump and Kim had a mutual admiration dynamic in the past, with those high-profile summits during Trump's first term making global headlines. Now back in office, he wants another try. So couldn't Beijing leverage North Korea as a bargaining chip to extract concessions? On the surface, it appears plausible. A Reuters survey found Beijing actively deepening economic ties with Pyongyang. Here are the numbers. In 2025, China's exports to North Korea reached $2.3 billion, a 25% surge from the previous year, the highest in nearly 6 years. Satellite imagery shows massive construction of roads and port facilities along the Sino-North Korean border, some previously unreported. The new Yalu River Bridge, though not yet officially open, already has dedicated lanes for cargo and passenger vehicles on the Chinese side. After 6 full years of suspension, the Beijing-Pyongyang cross-border passenger train service resumed on March 12th, as announced by Chinese authorities. Taken together, these moves send a clear signal to Trump. Beijing holds the key to influencing Kim Jong-un. If you want to talk to Kim, you go through us first. It sounds like a strong hand. But there's one critical question. Does Kim Jong-un buy it? Kim's estrangement from Xi is not new. On February 23rd, Xi personally called Kim to congratulate him on his reappointment as General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea. Kim waited 2 full weeks until March 9th before returning the call to express thanks. 2 weeks. Feel the attitude embedded in that delay? In Kim's eyes, what image does Xi project? Frankly, a coward. Why? Look at how Kim defines a good friend. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine and the world, G7, EU, UN piled on sanctions against Putin. What did Kim do? He defied global pressure and sent troops and weapons to support Moscow. That's Kim's understanding of brotherhood. When a friend is in trouble, you stand up, even if the entire world opposes you. And Xi, throughout the Russia-Ukraine war, Xi maintained strategic ambiguity. He refused to openly condemn Putin, but also dared not provide overt support. Why? Fear of Western sanctions, fear of losing markets, fear of isolation. Foreign Minister Wang Yi accidentally revealed the real calculation when he said the Ukraine war must not end, because if Putin stops fighting, the US will turn its full attention to the CCP next. You see the picture? Xi wants Putin to keep bleeding on the battlefield so that American focus remains diverted, buying Beijing more time and breathing room. That's not friendship. That's using Putin as a shield while hiding behind him. Kim Jong-un sees this crystal clear. Xi is unreliable. So Beijing's supposed North Korea trump card is, in truth, largely a product of Beijing's own wishful thinking. It's not just Kim who sees through Xi. Even retired CCP cadres inside the system are quietly waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting to see Xi fall. On March 7th, amid the sensitive countdown to the summit, Xi personally appeared at the PLA delegation's plenary session during the National People's Congress. He made a pointed remark: there must never be anyone who harbors disloyalty toward the party. Why emphasize that now? The louder the call for loyalty, the more severe the actual problem of disloyalty has become, serious enough that he must address it publicly. Not long ago, a widely circulated email described the following. During the 2026 Chinese New Year, a retired cadre from a certain locality made a special trip to Hangzhou to pay respects to former superior Liu Jie. Who is Liu Jie? Born in 1970, an alternate member of the 20th Central Committee, appointed Zhejiang provincial governor in January 2025, his career appeared to be soaring. After meeting Liu, the old cadre asked directly, "Has something big happened in Beijing? Since Zhang Yuxia was arrested, we've seen convoys of military vehicles heading north on the highways every day." Commentator New Highland on X observed that this brief New Year's exchange reflects the deep undercurrents in the 2026 CCP officialdom: fear, opportunism, loyalty tests, and interest-bound calculations. Everyone senses the regime is buckling, so they rush to pay respects, to pledge allegiance, to secure an escape route just in case. Last year, commentator Du Zheng quoted an unnamed retired CCP cadre in Taiwan's Up Media. "When Xi first took power, people still held some hope. Now no one speaks well of him. Everyone curses him. People are actually hoping the Communist Party collapses. Iran has undergone regime upheaval. Cuba is barely holding on. What about China? I make no predictions. I simply lay out the signals as they are. Let's recap everything covered today. Before entering Beijing, Trump first dismantled the CCP's key proxies in Venezuela and Iran. That was no coincidence. It was a deliberate strategy. Xi most wants to discuss Taiwan, but he cannot raise it, because in front of Trump, he holds no real bargaining chips. Beijing tries to play the North Korea card, but Kim Jong-un openly disrespects Xi, rendering that card's effectiveness highly questionable. Meanwhile, retired CCP cadres are quietly choosing sides, paying visits and preparing exit strategies. The script for this Trump-Xi meeting was written long ago by Trump. Xi is merely playing his assigned role, yet still believes he holds the initiative. That is the greatest irony today. That's all for this program. If you found value in this analysis, please like, subscribe, and share with friends who care about current affairs. This is Jing Yuan. See you next time.